Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for our next CSR supporters group. We have been doing a series of interviews this year, which has been fantastic because it's a real great insight into the world of CSR and EDI and some of the fantastic things that people are doing within their organisations at the moment. And that is championed by our committee members, who are Sarah James and Monique Williams on the call today, and Bethan. Unfortunately, she can't make it, but I know she wanted to be here and she's looking forward to watching back the recording. So we've got two very special guests who are going to join us, and that's going to be hosted today by the wonderful Sarah. So I shall hand over to her. But thank you so much for watching this back if you're watching. And please do have a look at the PA Forum membership portal and come back and join us for some of these sessions again in the future. Sarah, take over to you, lovely.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Dan, and thanks everyone for joining. I am really excited to introduce to you this afternoon Zoe Austin and Karen Allen. And I had the privilege of being involved last year with the West Midlands PA Awards and the opportunity to meet both Zoe and Karen, who were finalists for the CSR and EDI Champion of the Year award. And there's nothing more rewarding when Dan asked me to get involved with the interviews, is actually hearing from the finalists. And they're so inspirational, so many activities and events that they're championing, both actually in their organisations, but also their personal activities and events that they might be and get involved in. And I really couldn't share I really wanted the opportunity to share that information with all the members, because there's lots of little nuggets of little events or little how-tos or ways to kind of motivate and engage your employees and your team members. So I was delighted that Zoe and Karen agreed to come along to have this interview, and we've got a series of questions that I'll be firing at them to just be able to share everything that they've been doing to champion the CSR and EDI. So briefly, if that's okay, ladies, to just introduce yourselves, which organisation you work for and your roles, and then we can deep dive into the questions, if that's okay. So Zoe, can I introduce you?
Yeah, so I'm Zoe. I am an office manager as part of the Royal Bank of Canada group. Within the business, we've got a number of subsidiaries. One of them is Brewin Dolphin, and I'm the office manager for the Shrewsbury branch. And I'm also the office manager for another subsidiary within the group, which is Matheson Consulting, who are based in Birmingham. So I live in Telford, spread my time between Shrewsbury and Birmingham, and try my best to kind of bring CSR and EDI into life in both environments, which are both very different environments and very different people.
That's brilliant. And I know we talked about the challenges and things that you shared with us during your interview. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how we can chat about that a little bit more. And Karen.
Yep, so I'm Karen. I work for a company called Intercity Technology. We're based in Birmingham City Centre. I've been here just nearly 2 years, which has flown by. I'm part of the EA team. There's 3 of us working with the board of directors of 12. And obviously bringing in the CSR and EDI into Intercity as well, and trying to change things.
Yeah, and I think with both Zoe and Karen, it's like you're both ideally positioned within your organisation to actually be impactful and listening to what the employees want to do and get involved in, and carrying on like your passions to actually drive that alongside the strategy and the visions and the values of the business. So it was really great to kind of hear everything that you both shared as part of your interviews. So I'm going to kind of kick off with the kind of first question, and Karen, if we stay with you. So what inspired you to take an active role in championing CSR and EDI within your business?
Well, it kind of sort of, in my last company, I sort of just fell into it really by just getting involved in different activities that were happening and helping other teams out. And then obviously when I got made redundant from that place and moved into Intercity, it was kind of something that I wanted to carry on and try and make an impact within Intercity. And I always like to try and seek opportunities to dip into extra activities, obviously getting to know people within the business, and also to contribute and create a working place that everybody sort of feels value and have the opportunity to sort of thrive and take active roles in anything that we're doing.
Perfect, amazing. And then with Zoe, I know you've kind of touched on the fact that you've got the different offices and the different locations. So how did that kind of, what inspires you to be that active person that's championing those activities across the different sites?
I think it's consistency, really. I find that everybody within the two different teams have their own things that they like to be involved in outside of work. But from a teamwork and collaboration perspective, you can actually use CSR and EDI to bring your teams together and have a real focus, and also bring it into team building. So, for example, if we manage to arrange a charity day doing some gardening, actually, yes, we're doing a really good job for the charity that needs the work to be done, and there's a lovely end project at the end of it. But actually, we're getting different people who are working in a different manner. So you might actually have your junior staff bossing the gaffers around, telling them what to do to get the gardening done, because actually in gardening they haven't got a clue what they're doing, and it's nice to see that transition in relationships.
Yeah, and that just forms that kind of that team bonding and people getting to know about hobbies and interests of different things across the organisation and the team members and things as well. So that's really good. I've got a story around volunteering that we did with Worcester Animal Rescue Shelter, and we went along to help out for the day, and that was building like sniffle trails for the dogs and painting pallets and doing planting and things. And then we ended up adopting some kittens off the back of it, but we'll move on to that shortly later. So I know you kind of touched on it, Zoe, with the team and trying to see those different skills and what different members can actually bring to the organisation. What aspects of kind of CSR and EDI do you find most personally fulfilling for you?
For me, it's seeing the physical results of what you've been able to achieve. So, like I say, going and building a garden for a charity that needs access for people to use it, and actually seeing we've got a field here that's just a muddy pile. What can we make at the end of it? And seeing the start to finish journey is really satisfying for me. Or if we've done a fundraising event and we've raised, say, £1,000, actually knowing what that particular £1,000 is going to be used for and what the charity's been able to buy with that money, it just makes it so much more fulfilling.
And with it, like you mentioned about actually locally that there's like these fields, and actually how can you kind of get involved in those activities? Where do those ideas kind of come from, and those potential projects that you can get involved in?
Most of it is generally from people's connections within the office anyway. And then we tend to build relationships with a particular charity for a longer period of time, rather than doing ad hoc bits of we've raised £100 here and £50 here and it's all going in smaller places. We like to focus our efforts in one area, so that we can really scale that and make something more meaningful.
Yeah, I think that's really valuable and really important to the charity, the organisation. They kind of start to rely on your support, and that might be in volunteering hours, but also if you're financially able to raise money and things as well to actually help them. I think that is a really great way to build that connection actually with your community and the local companies, but also with that particular charity and things as well. It's brilliant, thank you. So Karen, I know from the various LinkedIn posts and things that I've seen that personally you're always up for a challenge. So
Always.
that must be that aspect of CSR that you kind of get involved in from a personal point of view. So I just wondered if we could kind of touch on some of those.
Yeah, so probably last year, and we're doing it again this year. I don't know if it's madness, glutton for punishment, whatever you want to call it. But the Intercity Slimmers are back again this year doing the 1 million step challenge. We did it for Cash for Kids last year. One of the colleagues who have joined our team this year has diabetes, and he's had for several years. So we've joined forces with him because obviously the Million Step Challenge is through the diabetes charity. So we've got a bigger team this year, which is great, because obviously which means more fundraising, but also doing it for a colleague that needs help and support in his daily life. So we're back again this year. So we'll be walking from the 1st of July to the 30th of September. Some of us are doing the 1 million steps. Some of us have pushed the boat out this year and doing 1.7 million steps. So yeah, watch this space.
Yeah, and I think it was great actually last year when you did the challenge, kind of your personal kind of motivational posts and your kind of updates and progress of how that was going, and that would have had an impact actually on, you know, your family and friends, but also your colleagues that you're working with. So have you got more people on board this year? Is it kind of driven momentum to get people involved?
It has. I mean, there's been some people that have just signed up and we weren't even aware of it until we've actually looked on our Teams page, and they've kept it quiet, and then we've added them to our WhatsApp group that we have, that we send pictures, and we're arranging sort of Teams calls in the mornings if anybody wants to join and just have a chat with somebody instead of just walking on your own. So we've got that coming up. But even just, we've even inspired some people from last year which have joined up this year, and obviously looking forward to getting out there and sort of doing it for their mental health and fitness as well. So it's nice to have extra people on board this year.
Yeah, that's lovely. And I know that it's something that Intercity are very passionate about supporting and getting involved in as well. So yeah, it's great.
For sure.
Karen, how many steps a day does that average?
Zoe's tempted.
So yeah,
I'm just wondering how far off I'd be.
So
it's crazy. I've just worked it out. It's 19,000 steps a day to do 1.7 over a 3-month period.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
last
it's
year,
crazy.
Wild.
last year, the million step challenge, I did it in 2 months. I completed it in 2 months,
Gosh.
and I still carried walking for the last month just to support the rest of the guys. So it's over, to do it in 3 months, it's over 10,000 steps, or it's like 10.3 or something like that. But I thought, well, because I did that in 2 months, I thought it is a challenge after all. So I thought, well, let's go up and try and do the 1.7, which works out nearly around 19,000 steps a day. So yeah, no pressure.
Yeah, get
I'll
those
be on
good
that
shoes
treadmill.
out.
Yeah, start wearing them in now. Hopefully no blisters. And because I've carried the walking on since last year, I'm hoping that there will be no aches and pains and there'll be no blisters at the start of this challenge like there was last year. So hopefully it might be a little bit easier, but obviously a lot more steps to get in every day. So let's see.
Well, good luck with
So,
that.
yeah,
I'm sure we'll
thank
all
you.
be supporting you as well along the way. So Zoe, that kind of it'd be really good to hear about kind of the CSR or EDI events that you've supported over the last year that you've been involved in.
Yeah, so like I said before, we tend to have a longer relationships with the charities that we work for. So we've actually just ended a 3-year-long fundraising campaign that we've done for a local children's hospice. We found that we built a really good connection with everyone at the hospice and their dedicated fundraising team. And they'd often just reach out to us out of the blue and say, have you got 5 people that can come and stuff envelopes for 2 hours this afternoon, or have you got someone that can come and help us build a path so that there's better wheelchair access, etc., etc. So I think the end of that project itself it's bittersweet really, because it's a shame that it's come to an end, but we've almost done everything that we physically can without repeating ourselves too much. Within the Shrewsbury office, I had a lady as well that kind of was the representative for Hope House, so she would do all of the liaisons, and she's moved on to a new role now with a different company. So we kind of thought that now's probably the time, if we're ever going to do it, to kind of tie things off and start brand new. But it's also exciting because it means now that we're in an opportunity that we can start speaking to different local charities and try and find who that next person is for us.
Yeah, so how are you going about that? How are you going about trying to
actually, unfortunately, we've done a bit of a poll in the office, and we really want to support a particular charity, but then red tape happens and we've realised that this charity is actually a client of ours, so we're not allowed to support that charity as a firm. So we're just now looking at different things that are quite similar, so that people still feel connected to that charity, and hopefully we can do some similar types of work with them as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's great. And then kind of, Karen, I know that with your kind of role and in Intercity, it's like supporting a number of different charities. Kind of a similar question, how do you go about getting that engagement point and actually the chosen charities that you work with and things, as well as a kind of a company-wide?
Yeah, so every year we choose a different company that we're going to support. And our main sort of charity event of the year is our golf day, which happens every June. So last year I was supporting it. This year I'm actually leading it. And last year was Acorns Children's Hospice, and we actually raised £10,000 on the day, just by donations, cash buckets, you name it, just everything. And obviously the cost that everybody paid to play it at the golf, which they were over the moon with. They've never raised that much in one day at any event, and there was no auction, there was no raffle, there was absolutely nothing like that. So this year we're obviously doing the golf event again. We're obviously upping the bar to £12,000 on the day. And this year's charity is the Kids Village, which I don't know if you've ever seen on LinkedIn.
I haven't, no.
So it's a local charity in the West Midlands, and they're actually building a kids village, hence the name of the charity. And it's to offer sort of free breaks to families who have obviously had difficult and exhausting days in hospital with sick children, and obviously just to experience some sort of magic away from the day-to-day life of having sort of ill children. So we're really looking forward to that, and it's quite a new charity as well. So it's nice to obviously work with them. Other charities, we obviously have Acorns, which we do every year for our tuck shop. So we buy all the stuff in, and then obviously everybody buys the food back off the tuck shop, and all that money every year goes to Acorns Children's Hospice. But we like Zoe, we do a poll every year, ask people to sort of put charities down, and obviously some mean a lot to more than others, and then we just put a poll out to the colleagues, and the one with the most votes gets it for that year. But we try and keep it to one, so we can try and get as much money made instead of having loads of individual charities throughout the year. We're doing Tough Mudder this year, and again we've chosen a kids charity to raise money for through Tough Mudder as well, that colleagues have taken part in. I think it's July they're doing that, so just trying to raise the bars as we can.
Yeah, and I think it is that really important around the employee engagement and the culture, and both yourself and Zoe have talked about how important it is to actually listen to the employees and make sure that you're supporting charities or causes that are really close to their heart as well.
Yeah.
So that kind of that strategies of working best for kind of engagement with employees and that kind of leadership around CSR. Is it that you're actively promoting volunteering days? Do you have like a separate committee within your organisation that might focus on those? How are you kind of having that employee engagement piece?
So we've actually got a board member coming back off maternity leave in August, who's actually going to be our ESG officer going forward. She was our CPO before she went on maternity leave, and now she's coming back as our ESG officer, which is great, which obviously all this will come into. But yeah, we obviously just sort of keep in contact, share knowledge. We do obviously ask for volunteers all the time. Acorns will ask us to go do tree planting or some gardening at the hospice, or painting walls or painting fences, or anything that they need. We'll go down, and their appreciation, they just can't sort of thank us enough, really. But it's just constantly, and it's nice to obviously try and get people from different offices to these events, so you can sort of do a bit of networking and collaboration with the different colleagues that are not just sort of Birmingham centric kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's really important. And Zoe, is it the type of thing that you have, like volunteering days, or how do you actively involve and get people to kind of take part in things?
Yeah, so all of our employees are given one volunteering day per year, so they can use that time to go and physically give their time to a charity. And they're also given one day each year to take part in a fundraising activity. So we've just had Billy in the office has run the London Marathon, so he would get that day back in lieu as extra annual leave. So it just encourages people to take more time to look at initiatives that they want to be involved in. I think we're really good as a company for having opportunities across the board that are given to us from head office. So similar to people being able to take part in the London Marathon in the amount of allocated places that we have, Royal Bank of Canada actually run a massive family race in London every year called the Race for the Kids. So all staff are encouraged to head to London and take part, not just running the race, because people like me cannot run. But they also ask for people to like go down and man the water stations, etc. So there's always really good opportunities, and they don't just leave that to the London staff either. They open that up to everybody right across the UK, and even our offices in Jersey and Dublin, people are encouraged to travel.
Yeah, and that's really good to actually, there's a role for someone, you know, whatever that might be. It might be that supportive banner, it might be, like you say, manning the water cooling stations, or just even helping with the marshalling and just the organisation, because, you know, everyone can kind of play their part and get involved. So yeah, that's really good to hear. So we've heard about all the kind of the massive successes and all like the really great events and campaigns and awareness that you're raising, but how do you potentially come across or kind of deal with some of those kind of challenges? Because it is about, you know, how do we make sure that we're still actively promoting these kind of initiatives, but also any challenges that you may have overcome? Zoe, shall I stay with you?
Yeah, so I think across CSR and EDI, I find the biggest challenge is making sure that there's representation for everybody to be involved that wants to be involved. So I also sit on the Diversity and Inclusion Forum for the group, and we regularly talk about what events we can host throughout the year. We look at the calendar of events and possibilities of different things that we can do, but there is not enough calendar days in the year to be able to represent absolutely everybody. So what we try and do really is actively speak to people in the local branches to get an understanding of the types of things that would interest them, what they would actually take part in, because there's no point in me raising money for a charity that actually half the group don't even agree with, and they think that it's politically not correct. So we just try and make sure that we listen to everyone and give everybody an opportunity, and also actively ask people, if we're not doing something that you think we should be doing, then please tell us, because otherwise if we don't know about it, then we're not going to know.
Yeah, and that is really important, because like you say, I think every day sometimes you open up social media or LinkedIn, it's like, oh gosh, it's this awareness day and what are we doing, and you can't be over all of that. So it's making sure you can have a good representative of all the awareness days, but also meeting the kind of the needs of the team and what people are hoping that as a company can kind of support and things as well. So Karen, have you got any nuggets of how to kind of get over those challenges or overcoming any challenges that you might have around CSR and involvement?
Yeah, probably similar to Zoe. I think it's just obviously getting the sort of the backing. And we always try and go for like our senior leadership team first, and sort of do it from that top down kind of thing. But also just the sort of communication, I think, and making people involved, or getting them involved as much as possible and showing the benefits. And I think when people do it for the first time, sort of going out and doing that sort of volunteering day, they sort of get a real buzz that they've been out, is that away from the office for the day, but they've managed to sort of do something, and then they've given something back to the community, and they just have a real sort of buzz in it. I think once they've done it once, they have that sort of like, I need to do it again, I want to do it again kind of thing. But we sort of sit down at the start of the year with our social committee and decide on what days, because like you say, I think every day can be a day of celebration of something. So it's more about what's worked well for us in the past, and we thought, well, we'll do it again because we've had a good uptake in that, but then also add some more new things in each year, kind of sort of different days. And obviously because we've now got our other business, our other company, we're working out of what they've done in the past and what's worked well. So we're sort of trying to sort of combine the two, so it's not always just everything that we've done, it's what they've done before as well. Just so we've got that collaboration and sort of continuity as well.
Yeah, and I think it's about sharing those successes. I think it's really important. I know we've kind of touched on having like LinkedIn and doing those regular posts of what you're personally doing, but how do you kind of communicate that and share those successes internally within the company, Karen?
Yeah, just obviously letting everybody know internally. And obviously on LinkedIn, we always sort of hashtag our company, and it's everybody gets the notification that you've been tagged in a post kind of thing. But just sort of spreading the word. And our CEO, he's very out there on LinkedIn, shall we say. He's always posting with these events and meetings that he turns up to, and obviously we try and sort of spread that out. As soon as somebody does an event, it's like, get some pictures for socials, let everybody know what we've been doing kind of thing. And we do it internally as well. We have a newsletter that comes out every every month of the highlights of what's been happening and what's coming up. And the socialites we've just started this year, we're doing a quarterly newsletter that goes out to all colleagues, and it goes up in sort of the main areas within the office, or the kitchens and near the printer and stuff like that, of what's coming up. So it's always in people's sort of faces, and they can't turn around and go, I didn't know about that kind of thing. So our next big event is our golf day, but then internally we've got our company quiz night coming up in July, which is our main event for the colleagues of the year kind of things. That's something to look forward to.
Yeah, that's great. And Zoe, I'm sure that we're trying to manage and trying to keep informed the different sites and the different offices that I'm sure you use your kind of like newsletters and things. Is there any little takeaways that would be really valuable that has worked as a really good success of being able to share those success stories that you might have?
Yeah, so we have like a regional business manager that collates good news stories across the region and shares those within a newsletter. But she also takes feedback from others. So if I say I've put on an event and then she shared the information, she'll happily let people know where I got my ideas from, or she'll pinpoint them to me to give them some top tips on how they can run something similar in their offices. I think you probably saw the post before where I started doing an office quiz about heritage, and I just did everything all Jamaica, and then I got some Jamaican food in and we did a quiz, and actually we ended up doing about 5 or 6 different quizzes within the office, all based on people's different ethnicities or culture that they've got in their family. But so it just kind of really spread quite rapidly.
Yeah, it's sparking those ideas, isn't it? And then it's like trying to make sure you're capitalizing the most on those opportunities that you can share with the team. I know Bethan, who's part of the CSR committee, she uses like postcards and things, so she might just leave those around the canteen or like the meeting rooms that might have information about either events that are coming up, and then not that you'd want to overuse it all the time, but having like QR codes, so that might just be a QR code that you'd scan, and it's like, find out a little bit more about what's happening next month. And it's just using those different ways to kind of engage with people within the workplace. So yeah, that's brilliant. So we've kind of we've talked about how to overcome some of those challenges. We've talked about how to champion and kind of share those successes. Just want to kind of touch around actually people that might be looking someone is passionate about kind of being involved in CSR and EDI, and how can they look to have an impact in their business, and how can they get involved? Zoe, shall I stay with you?
Yeah, so I think if you're looking to get involved, I'd have a look at what your existing firm already offer. Figure out firstly, are you personally utilising everything on offer from the firm? If you're not, what are the reasons that you're not? Is it that you're not aware of everything? If not, you need to do a bit more research and communicate any of the findings that you have. Look for gaps in what your firm's currently not offering. See if you can come up with a local resolution of how to fulfil that gap as a trial run. See if that runs successfully, and then if that does go well, then make sure that your management are shouting it from the high top so that it can get recognised and picked up and then spread throughout the rest of the group.
Yeah, no, that's really important. And it's like you say, we're those, especially kind of the business support roles, are very much looking at that attention to detail. So being able to try and find some of those gaps and some of those little initiatives that people can work on is really important. Karen, is there anything that you'd like to add to that, or ways that could inspire others to get involved? I know you've got like the communities and things that you've got.
Yeah, we've got our social committee, which obviously we do a lot for in-house and sort of externally, but I think just the employee surveys, we find that works as a really good tool, whether it can be anonymous or you can put your name against it, so if people don't want to sort of let everybody know what they've done, but it's a good way of getting sort of like real answers from our colleagues, and find out what they like and what they don't like and what they want kind of thing, because at the end of the day we're doing it for them, and if we can't get their sort of uptake on it, then we're not going to get very far at all. So we find the surveys is a good way of communicating.
Yeah, that's great. And then I know that it's always there's budget restraints, and we never have a lot of money to actually do events, or how do we organise something? And I think it's really important to also consider how small businesses and can actually get involved with kind of CSR. So it doesn't matter what size the organisation is, you can still have that impact. I know Zoe's kind of touched on some of the culture aspects and being able to have those celebrations around culture. Is there some kind of ways that aren't going to be really expensive to actually get involved in, and kind of leaning on the skills of the team that you already have in place? Is there any really successes that you've had, Karen, that you could share?
I'd probably say even just last week we did Wear It Green Day in the office, which as part of obviously Mental Health Week, which we sort of communicated out to the staff, but I thought it'd be nice to actually do something in the office to actually sort of bring it to life a little bit. So obviously on Thursday, which was actual Wear It Green Day, we asked all the staff to come in green if they had something, whether it was a pair of socks, a tie, a shirt, t-shirt, dress, whatever. It didn't have to be anything big. We also got some cakes in, which didn't really cost a lot, and we also got the pin badges, which obviously the cost of that went to the charity anyway. We had I downloaded the sort of toolkit that they do online, so that we printed our own banners off. We did our own bunting for the area that we were doing it. We had the TV screens all green. What else did we have? We had conversation cards, so we asked all the staff to have sort of a coffee, cake and chat break at the picnic tables that we have in our office, and there was conversation cards there that just didn't relate to work or anything, so it was just everybody was having a cuppa with a cupcake, which were green and with the logo on it for Wear It Green Day, and just having sort of 10-15 minutes out your normal day just to go and have a coffee and a cake and a chat with somebody. And there was conversation cards if you needed them, but it was just not work related whatsoever. And even like the EA team, I don't know if you saw it on social medias, but the EA team actually did it, and we'd learned so much between the three of us that it was a conversation that you would never actually sort of think about even bringing to the table, kind of thing. And we learned so much between the three of us within like the space of half an hour, just having that chat. And there was groups that did it throughout the day as well, and they've even said the same. It was just these conversations would never come to light unless they were actually probably sitting at that table, which was nice to see. And it was nice to hear about different stories and things like that as well. So, and that didn't really cost a lot at all, kind of thing. And we got all the offices involved as well, which was good. So
yeah, that's a perfect example, and I think this is what I love about kind of having conversations with people that are kind of passionate around CSR and EDI, is like, actually, what are some of those things that people are doing? Because it's not about reinventing the wheel, it's like what's worked best. And like you say, with Mental Health Awareness Week last week, and this isn't just for Mental Health Awareness Weeks, there's lots of resources and information or posters or banners or social media graphics that a lot of toolkits are kind of available for a lot of like the awareness days. So like there's no point trying to be the most creative marketeer kind of person. There's lots of resources that you can reuse and repurpose to fit your kind of campaign. So yeah, there's one to take away if people aren't already doing that. Thanks, Karen. And Zoe, I know we talked around the different cultures, and that was something that you could do. Is there something else that if people haven't got a lot of budget or resources to be able to champion some CSR and EDI events?
Yeah, so I've got two examples. One works really well pre-Christmas, one works really well post-Christmas. So we did this one for the first time last year. So we sacked off Secret Santa in the office. And we kind of said, why are we spending £10 for me to have a pair of socks that I'm never going to wear, or a chocolate bar that I actually don't really like that chocolate bar, but somebody's bought it for me, so it's going to sit on my desk now for the next 12 months. So I'm not sure if you're all aware, but at Dunelm, they do like these Christmas tags, and it'll be a tag and it'll ask you to buy a gift for a 4-year-old, and it'll have a message from them that says, please can I have a bunny rabbit toy or something along those lines. So different charities put on these different tags. So instead of doing Secret Santa, I went and collected a tag from Dunelm for everybody, gave everybody a tag, and we all just used our budget to go towards that instead. Collated all the items in the office, wrapped them all in the office, and then went and delivered them to Dunelm as one big massive bulk. So that's money that your office would have generally spent anyway on something completely useless, but it's turned that into something that's actually really positive and works really well. The charities really, really appreciate it. Post-Christmas, you will always have some gift that you didn't want, and it'll just live in your house forever. So what we tend to do is post Christmas, we'll have a bit of a raffle. So we'll say, bring in one unwanted Christmas item. So generally tends to be some leftover alcohol or something from Christmas. Bring those in, and then we just do a raffle with all of those items that would have just sat in your house not doing anything for some unforeseeable amount of time.
Yeah, that's a great, some great examples of just actually how you can recycle, repurpose. But a great idea with Secret Santa. I'm going to take that one away, and I like the post Christmas the raffle idea. That's really good. One that I did to support a homeless shelter was it was just starting September time, and I reached out to my children's schools, and I said, I bet children have come back to school September with new rucksacks and new bags. If they've still got their old one, would they be happy to kind of donate that to the local? I collected them all, but donate those, bring them into school, and we donated them all to a local homeless shelter, because they were unfortunately they'd recently had some flooding and things, so they were desperate for people to be able to keep their belongings and things dry, and being able to make use of those old rucksacks and things. So it's just, it's using some of those ideas, and what's cluttering up at home, and I know like there's charities that also take kind of like clothes bank charities, and I know, Zoe, that you've supported Crisis, for example, with some of their like clothes donations and things as well. So yeah, it's brilliant. No, thank you ever so much for kind of sharing these. I think it's, as I said, I had the opportunity to really kind of meet you both and speak to you during the interviews for the PA Awards. On that kind of reflection, and let's bring it back to the West Midlands PA Awards, what did it mean to be kind of recognised, and what kind of impact has that had on you now in your role, and the kind of opportunity in your business since the awards? Zoe,
yeah, I think it's just really nice to get recognition, because obviously you do your day job and people will say, oh, thanks for doing that, that's really, really nice, but it's nice to get the recognition from senior management within the business that you do actually go above and beyond, because none of this, I don't think this is in anyone's job description ever, unless your title is CSR champion, then it's not in your title, it's just stuff that you take on in addition to the day job. So just being able to get that recognition is really worthwhile. And selfishly, when it comes to year-end performance reviews and you have to say what you've done well this year, and you can write on there and say, I was a finalist in this award, then it looks really good. But it also means that you can network with other like-minded people. Like you said, we've done some work with Crisis, and that was through me meeting another finalist who said that she volunteers for a women's refuge. So when I'm doing a clothing collection, I know where all of those clothes are going now because I've got a connection there. So the awards are really, really important, really, really important, just to be able to work together as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a great example, Zoe, of kind of building on the connections, that building our network, sharing these ideas. And that was the whole reason that we kind of put the CSR supporter sessions together, so that we can share our knowledge, and that we aren't alone in this. We're trying to champion CSR and EDI in our business. So it's making sure that we can be impactful already in our very busy and demanding roles that we already have. So yeah, massive congratulations on being a finalist last year. So that was wonderful, thank you. Karen, and finally from you.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was a complete shock last year, because it wasn't even the category that I originally got nominated for. So to say that you were going to be nominated for this one, it was like, oh, okay then, great. But like Zoe said, I think it's just that having that recognition and people actually seeing the good things that you're actually sort of doing in the business and outside, and it's always nice to sort of give back to the community, and like building networks and building the community, and obviously sharing ideas that other people have done, and you'd probably never think of them, but like you say, like as Zoe's mentioned, the gift tree, which it's a good one, which I'll be taking back and doing this year hopefully, because we do Secret Santa with the board and they're absolute nightmare trying to get presents, so if we do this, it might be a bit easier for them. So yeah, thanks for the
just a top tip on that one. I think the tags come out around beginning to mid-October and they go really quickly. So get on it straight away so that you can get the tags, because otherwise you're rustling around different branches trying to find
trying to get them.
Tags. Yeah.
We'll get on
brilliant.
it.
I can't believe we're talking about Christmas and it's May, but we'll go with it, ladies. We'll go with it. Yeah, thank you both again for gifting your time and sharing your kind of like experiences, your knowledge of CSR, and kind of continuing to champion everything positive around CSR and EDI. I'm really grateful and really appreciate everything that you've shared with us. So thank you very much, both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much. It was really good.
Yeah, sorry for being late, but thank you so much. It was great. I've been typing notes furiously there.
Oh, no problem at all. Thanks, Joy.
Thank you.
I have no way of stopping the recording because Dan started it, so let's hope he finds his charger, otherwise we'll be here all afternoon.
He could have 7 hours of blank screen.
I know, but
Could I ask a question, if that's
yeah,
okay?
of course.
Zoe, I'm so sorry, I missed the start and I was really, really keen to get here, but you know how meetings go. So you mentioned about branches and speaking to your people within branches. So I work for a food manufacturing company, and we have sites kind of dotted around, well, half of Europe, UK and Ireland. And that's kind of my struggle at the minute, is how to get to everybody and give everybody that voice. And then obviously, because we're food production, not all of our people are wired as in having a company email address, or even, we can't always guarantee that they've access to a smartphone. So is there anything, I suppose, where I'm coming up against it is everybody has a great idea of what a great corporate charity would be. But as we all know, like, people invest the most time and energy into the ones they're most closely affiliated with. And it's that, how do I get what matters locally to people gathered in? Have you any tips, or how have you found it within your branches that you get kind of outside of corporate head office level?
So we are all corporate. We're, like, everything that we do, everything is on laptops. So we don't have like manual workers that are coming in and just doing a shift. But we do have, in every single branch, we have a CSR champion who is the voice for the branch. We never used to have that. We asked for volunteers for that, and not every branch was covered initially. But I think once you get a bit of a buy-in from, say, about a third of the branches, other ones start clicking in and realising, actually, we should be doing this, it is important. So I think if you can get a volunteer within each branch, get a few different champions going, and they can run, if you kind of give them some kind of overview of what the overarching thing is that you're looking to achieve, they don't necessarily have to go for the same charity across the whole firm. They can all pick their own charity that they want to work for locally, and they can run that however they see fit, and they can have like a display in the breakout area or anything along those lines for those that haven't got company emails to keep them engaged as well.
Joy as well. So I've spoken to a lady that works for a big construction company. So I don't know if there's an option to actually go on site or have people that will go, potentially even with like a tablet or even a paper survey, to just kind of collate that information. So someone was very passionate. They were very office based, but took the opportunity, they weren't out all the time, but kind of taking the opportunity to visit the actual sites and to actually survey people that haven't got access to kind of computers. And it's like, we do take your response seriously. I can take like notes on here, we can do it on the tablet, and you can fill in your survey, just so that you're getting that kind of group of people that potentially might have access to that. And like as Zoe said, having those notice boards, so anything that you might be sharing internally on an email or a newsletter, make sure you're sending them to kind of the different sites or the packs, so that people already printed out, so they can then put them on the notice boards and things as well. So you're just trying to be inclusive. My mum used to struggle with this. She was housekeeping at a hospital, and she never had a computer. She her job was going into clean. So they actually started updating the notice boards more, because it should read that and see that in breaks and things. So that could be something as well.
Oh no, that's great. I mean, I've been able to get like digitized screens put into all of our that we can kind of push out to and things. So things like that are really helping. There's a great want to do. I suppose it's that balance between where I can't take people off the floor for 30 minutes or even 15 minutes because it completely stands still production. So it's that, I suppose it's that inclusivity, and that's where my head's at, is to how do I give people that option? But a start's a start. And if it's a little amount of volunteering made available that we accommodate, we can grow it.
Of course. And then we talked about earlier about the QR codes. So if you've got those screens, say you've got a little survey that you're trying to find, like the charity you want to support this year, or if you put that QR code on like the screens, I bet the majority of people have at least got a mobile phone that they could be able to access it if you use SurveyMonkey or Microsoft Forms, or like SurveyMonkey will probably be easier because they then don't need to have like an email and account, but at least you've got an opportunity to kind of collate things. That could be something that would work quite well.
Great. Thanks so much.
People are also naturally very competitive as well. So if you put some kind of competition across the different branches to say there'll be a prize for whoever raises the most money for charity by the end of the year, you'd be very surprised at how much
you'll get some volunteers then.
And I think that as well, it's people don't want to be the one not sitting at the table. So if you're in like a regional meeting, for example, and everybody else is talking about the stuff they're doing, it's the site director doesn't want to sit there going, we haven't done anything. And it nearly has to be that you're the odd one out now. I think it was a great tip. Get kind of those first few in, get it going, and then let people see let it organically grow, I suppose. But no, this has been great. Thank you. Sorry for all the questions.
It's okay. I'm not sure what your benefit structure is as well, but a lot of firms have like a give as you earn benefit within pay, which I think a lot of people who don't, because obviously the benefits packages that you get are a bit overwhelming sometimes, and I think they're things that sometimes people forget. But actually, if you've got 50% of the population of your team are always giving £10 to charity every week because there is something that really means something to them, actually if they do it through give as you earn, they can end up spending the same amount but giving that charity more. So if you've got benefits like that, then those are small little knock-on effects. If you can communicate and promote those things a little bit more, then that does have an effect.
Wonderful.
Sorry, type in more notes. Thank you.
Well, connect with us on LinkedIn, or I know that Dan will circulate an email that will be of the recording, or whatever the recording is going to be by the time it finishes. And then any notes or anything, then I'm sure Zoe and Karen and Monique, who's also part of the CSR committee group, would be more than happy to answer any questions or support further. So.
Thanks so much.
Lovely. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.